So, a little chat today about the attitude of some local bike shops, independent bike shops. Now, this is not an attack on any local bike shop. I'm not naming anybody. I'm just telling you the story of this lady, what happened to her at a local bike shop that isn't actually in the town where I live. It's in a town slightly further up the valleys. And she took this Halfords Carrera, which is her daughter's bike. Her 8-year-old daughter absolutely loves this bike, and she took it to a local bike shop to be repaired because it had a flat tyre and the brakes weren't very good. And that local bike shop made her feel about this big because the bike had Carrera written on it, because it was a Halfords bike. And she was told, her daughter was with her, by the way, so they were both told that the bike was a write-off. It wasn't worth spending any money on, because it was a Halfords bike. They didn't really want to be working on it anyway, and it would cost hundreds of pounds to put right. But I've been through this bike and there's very little wrong with it. There were no bearing issues anywhere on the bike. Headset's absolutely fine. I mean, the cranks are fine. It's a few little superficial bits of rust and things, but it's nothing at all serious. The brakes, I've taken the brake pads out. They were really badly worn. It definitely needs brake pads. So what's that going to be in a bike shop? Maybe 20 quid, I suppose. Less if you do it yourself. But like even things like the brake cables and things. I mean, this gear cable's a little bit tired looking, but it doesn't really need changing. I've not done anything to this bike except very minor. I did a very minor gear adjustment, and it's just super happy, you know. The back wheel, the bearings in the back wheel. Bearings in the back wheel, I'd say, are slightly noisy, but it's certainly nothing. There's no movement or play in the wheels. There's no wear in that. I mean, there's not going to be, is there? I mean, how far does an 8-year-old ride their bike? So this is not a bike that is by any. Even the pedal bearings are good. It's got half decent metal pedals on it. You know, these Carreras are not bad. They're lightweight little bikes. It just happens that they're sold through Halfords, and that is frowned upon by local bike shops because you're buying through a chain. So this thing about the title of the video, bad attitude bike shops. Just do it, just help someone out. Just do the 50 quid's worth of work, charge them 50 quid, put 50 quid in your till. Why would you not do it? Why would you turn that customer away? That customer's never going to go back to that bike shop again. Even if they win the lottery tomorrow and they've got 10 grand to spend on a bike, they're not going to go back to that bike shop again because they were made to feel like they were idiots. They were told, oh, why did you buy that? Why did you go to Halfords? You should have gone to a proper bike shop. It's not a proper bike. It's dangerous. It's this, that and the other. We can't get the parts for it. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. There's no non-standard parts on this. It's got Shimano gearing, for God's sake. It's just a... Oh, it's a okay, it's relatively budget. Having said that, these cost over 250 quid. These are not 50 quid supermarket bikes, you know, and they're quite lightweight and they're quite tidy. So my point is, I'm going to put brake blocks on this. I've already given it a bit of a clean up to make it look nice for the little girl, and I've run through everything else, and there's no chain wear, there's no cassette wear, because it's an 8-year-old's bike. It's probably done 50 miles in its entire life of little short trips around the park and stuff like that, you know. I was going to change the saddle because I thought there was a tear in it, but after I cleaned it up, it is actually watertight. There's no water leaking. I will change these grips just because they're a bit worn out and a bit dirty. This is all pennies, you know. I mean, I'm not charging anything for doing this, obviously, because I'm running the Free Bikes for Kids charity, and if I can put a bike back on the road, I will. But why didn't the bike shop just go, even £100? Okay, £100, and we'll fit some new grips and some new brake pads and give it a general service and whatever. But rather than that, they chose to turn the bike away on the basis of it being a Halfords bike. And like, the way the bike industry is at the moment, what bike shop can afford to do that? I just don't understand. I mean, I'm lucky where we are in our town centre. I hear good things about most of the local bike shops. And there's one guy in particular that works out of his garage at home, set up his own business, and he's great. He really looks after people, and he will send people to me, you know, with their old bikes if they are upgrading and that kind of thing. But this attitude of we're not working on that because it came from Halfords is just ridiculous. Just take the money, do the job, help that person out, charge a reasonable price, get the bike back on the road. You're not damaging the reputation of your bike shop by having a career in the stand for 10 minutes and belittling people and making people feel daft. It's just ridiculous. And underpinning all of that, there's nothing wrong with these bikes. This bike is a cracking little bike for an 8-year-old or 8 to 10-year-old. You know, it's just such a shame. I mean, if they could have taken that guy's advice, if somebody hadn't mentioned me, and I'm just going to fix it up now for them, and it's not going to cost them anything, but otherwise they would have probably taken this bike to the tip. It's a complete waste. You know, it's still going to work for this little girl, and I've told them that when she outgrows it, which she will in the next year or so, to bring it back to me, I'll rehome it, and then she can have the next size up, which would be a 26-inch bike. But please, I don't know why local bike shops have to push this attitude of not working on Halfords bikes or cheaper bikes, or just help people out. You know, just do. You haven't got to give them a lecture. Just do the work, put a bit of money in your till, and help someone out. Not difficult.